Do you know what's not fun? Feeling like your soul got shuffled for someone else's entertainment. But do you know what's even less fun? Needing to ask ChatGPT for recovery instructions. But for a moment, let's be honest, because at the root of all pain is us, just us. And when we talk about reality, the only real shift begins when we awaken from the false stories we're told and believe about ourselves and become finally aware of our truth and who we are in essence. The truth is, a lot of people today have started to search for peace through artificial intelligence, and I'm afraid that trend is only going to continue growing until shit hits the fan. Yeah, it's true. We're some kind of species. We like to take things easy, and when things start to hurt, like really hurt, when we feel that deep pain, then we begin to wake up and make changes that we know we should have done to begin with. Yet, in the meantime, we just like to sit around and complain that no one warned us. So today, well, I'm here to tell you that the path to your soul is through your own body and not an answer given by Chat GPT. And peace doesn't live in the mind, it lives in the body. The mind just follows the body that finds security, comfort, and safety in breath, in presence, in connection. And how do I know that? Well, someone very recently told me that my timing is off. And you see, I hadn't really thought about it before. I mean, who gets to decide when the right time is? So to me, timing is just a mirror, reflects what we are ready to learn or what we are still choosing to avoid. Yes, I'm getting philosophical again, it's a habit. But here it's why I'm sharing all of this. That comment, that little jab at my timing sparked something. It sparked a realization. See, I realized that I never really told you how I got here in the first place. I never shared the pain that pushed me onto this path or the real reason I show up on your screen to talk about healing, truth, and all of these so-called epiphanies. So I figured, let's make it right today. And let's start from the beginning. Why am I really here? Let's take a sip first. The moment that quietly, well, maybe not so quietly, but launched me into this lifelong quest for inner peace. It all started with a deep desire to feel free. Free from the weight of inadequacy, the pain from the past, the ache of loneliness, particularly free from a heartbreaking relationship ending, and the quiet stink of invisible wounds that was living on the surface. See, the pain I carried and I experienced, it didn't show up on the outside. So on the surface, I looked fine, whatever that means. But internally, I was tangled up in insecurities. I didn't even know how to name them, let alone be able to share them. It's like there was always a wall. It was me and you, and in between, a silent barrier built from shame and fear. And I didn't know how to say how disconnected I truly feel, to say what I truly needed and what I wanted, to speak up and share what I desire and how I actually felt. So instead, instead of expressing who I am and where I stand and what is true for me, I just didn't say anything at all. I pretended it was fine. I pretended I was fine until my life ended up turning into one big fine pretense. And this is when I realized that it's a very painful way of living when we are pretending, when we are playing a role. The longer we are pretending, the less we're attending. I hope you like my cheesy rhyme here. But I don't want to pretend I was enjoying the party. I wanted to finally attend the party and enjoy it as myself. But let's be real, no TikTok trend ever got me here. I didn't overcome my fear of speaking because I have an accent, or my fear of saying how I feel while I may potentially get rejected. I didn't get over any of these insecurities through distractions, but rather what helped me get over them and navigate through the process was a very deep period of introspection and sitting with the fears, just as I'm sitting right now with this background noise. You need to make your enemies your greatest friends, or as Lincoln says, the best way to get rid of your enemies is to make them your friends, which is also an integral part in my work with Jungian shadow work. And so I began, instead of looking outward, I went inward, deeper, beyond hashtags and healing fads, into the mystery, into the mess, into myself. Which brings me now to this story. And how did I get here? Well, rewinding back this journey, which was sparked about 15 years ago, when I was going through this painful and a breakup part in my own life, where I spent nights and days grieving and processing loss and the changes that came with that, and making sense of the heartbreak I felt. And this classical scenario, things start to fall apart so you can begin again. Yep, that was where I was at. And it's funny how we as people, we don't really generally go searching for truth unless something happens, unless something hurts and we crack open. And suddenly now we start asking the big questions between all the sorrows. We start Googling, how can I stop feeling empty at 2 a.m. in the morning? And spoiler alert here, peace is not hiding in aisle 7 in Whole Foods. So I already checked that and there is no need to go there. And so this search brought me on a mat in some yoga studio, which, by the way, after so many years, I finally decided to get my certified training in for credential reasons. And so as part of the YTT training, I was asked to write an essay on my story, which, well, also led me to making this video today. Because I also realized I never actually told you, and I never shared with you how I got here, why I'm doing this, and why I'm so much into esoterics, into astrology, psychology, healing, embodiment, yoga work, and the world beyond, as I like to call it, and waking up to life even through the hard parts of life. And just so we're clear, when I first stepped onto that yoga mat 15 years ago, I was barely 21 years old, legally old enough to drink, but far more consumed with finding meaning than drowning cocktails in a club full of strangers. Which, to be fair, would have made sense too. I mean, I'm Eastern European, so where I come from, alcohol doesn't wait for your legal birthday. It starts showing up at family dinners when you're just about 14, maybe 12. If your, for example, uncle is in charge of pouring, so by the time you're 21, that novelty has already worn off. And so instead, for me, yoga happened. But not the Instagram handstand kind, not the I just found my Zen in Bali kind. I'm speaking about real yoga. If you actually Google the word yoga, the sit with your own pain, cry in a child's pose, breathe through your own breakdown kind of yoga. The stay kind, the there is nowhere to run or hide, but sit and be. That's where it all began, learning patience, learning to sit and be, to observe, to listen, to hear. And I haven't stopped ever since, because here is the truth. You don't find your purpose, you build it. And I spent years trying to chase it down through friendships, through travel, through romantic detours, all noble distractions. And yet, no matter where I went, I always found myself back in the same place. Four walls, no clear direction, and a hollow silence inside me that screamed louder than the noise outside. And that silence, at that time, it wasn't peaceful. It was despair in disguise. But here is what I learned in that space of nothingness. Because you don't know a damn thing until you admit that you actually don't. And if you want a meaningful life, you don't wait for it to land in your lap. You begin by building it. And not with glitter, vision boards, or your fifth ayahuasca ceremony. And no offense here. Not with curated spiritual selfies or weekend enlightenment retreats. You build it by crawling through your own discomfort like a sweaty, emotional jungle gym and staying with that. We were never taught how to be with ourselves, how to enjoy our own company. We were only taught how to distract ourselves, to hustle, to scroll, to do. But transformation does not happen through distraction. It happens when you sit in your own company long enough to hear what your body has been trying to say all along through the pain and through the discomfort. And here is the big secret: your truth, your purpose, your joy, they're not out there. They live inside you, and they're only amplified or diminished by the world around you. But most of us won't go looking until the soul sends us an SOS signal. And that signal, it's called pain. And pain isn't the villain, it's the messenger. A soul crying out for joy. Not the fleeting party confetti kind of joy, but the kind that comes from knowing you belong, from feeling safe in your own skin. That deep, unshakable peace that brings us joy. But unfortunately, a lot of us didn't grow up with that, so we have to learn it. I mean, I had to learn it. And to learn it, we need tools and not just trends to follow. We need the right tools. And at some point, I had to make the shift from a hot mess to hot but grounded. And yoga, real yoga, helped me do just that. And I'm not speaking about look cute in tights and stand on your head kind of yoga, but the sit in your child's pose and cry until you are empty, until you are connected to the deepest and most uncomfortable parts of you. The kind that teaches you how to translate and navigate through your own experience. So over time, I layered in other tools and deep esoteric ones through soul awakening energy work and Asiman astrology. And again, here, this is not the kind that blames Mercury for your emotional collapse, but the kind that helps you understand your own emotional weather, that helps you translate your own blueprint, your patterns, your timing, and the one that's about self-knowledge, but also integration. Because healing, it doesn't happen just by letting go or taking another sound bath class. It happens by choosing to rebuild yourself, a choice that needs action. And you can't rebuild yourself without a vision of who you are. And who you are truly, it's not your trauma. It's the truth that lives beneath your trauma. Truth that our mind is on a quest here to learn about. Do you hear that thunder? Hell yeah. A truth that's embodied through peace. And my journey to that peace, or that place and state of peace, it's been long. It's been messy. It's been full of moments that made me question everything about my life, my identity, my beliefs, even my own family and origin, including myself. Questions that produced a lot of internal discomfort for me to navigate through and work with over the last, I would say, 15 to 20 years. But what I have come to understand is this: shame, guilt, fear, anxiety, they're just emotional messengers. They're not your or mine or our enemies. They're signposts pointing toward the parts of you still waiting to be freed. Because unless there is joy, unless there is freedom, there is no truth. And unless there is peace, there is no love. Eventually, I stumbled upon the wisdom of an old Indian saying: there is no true ending until there is a happy ending, or at least a peaceful one for the soul. So I like to say a happy hour is the one of awakening, and a happy ending is the one of peace found in lovemaking. And that realization sparked something in me, a desire to awaken every part of myself that had gone numb, to question the discomfort instead of running away from it, to understand that dissatisfaction with life, it's not a curse, it's only a lack of education. And the moment we choose to learn, to study our bodies, our emotions, our own patterns, we begin to build something that is truly real. Not just a life that looks good or it's a pretense fine life, but a life that feels good too. A life you create based on a foundation of truth rather than trauma. And in all honesty, no one else lives in your body. No one else feels what you feel, and no one else can teach you the truth of your soul except you. Others can only guide you, but it's you who needs to choose to learn. So why are we outsourcing our joy? This journey inward, it's not a destination. It's not like a check mark on a to-do list like meditate, heal childhood wounds, or achieve enlightenment before lunch. No, come on, we're human. We get sidetracked. We cry ugly. We look crazy sometimes. We scroll Instagram a lot more than we should be probably when journaling, and that's fine. But here is the key: it's not to overbear your friends and family with your constant complaints, nor attending thousands of festivals and getting high on yet another substance, creating seemingly profound connections. The key here is in having the right tools and knowing that no matter what happens in your life or who is there around you, you have a way to return within. And after a long day or late at night, in your own presence and company, you don't feel lonely, but can find inspiration, hope in your own aloneness, because you are at peace within you. You found a stable foundation to create from and experience life. So here it is key to have the tools to move through the mist, the tools to help you and us navigate through the physical experience and sensations and finding a channel of expression, and the tools to help us trust our own ability to return home within. And this is the ultimate ability we have for experiencing love, to trust that we can transform our own pain into love rather than keeping the world accountable for it and holding expectations. Imagine it this way: you are given a house and you want to renovate it, but you need the tools to get rid of the old walls and furniture to make space for the new. And without the right tools and knowledge how to go about this renovation, you keep it all as you have been given. And without the right tools, you just end up piling more on top. New wallpaper, new furniture, new affirmations, but eventually this space gets crowded and it begins to crumble. And that crumbleness is translated through pain. The same way we like to keep our beliefs, how they shaped and formed our own perceptions by our caregivers. So now you seek to manifest a new life, a new reality, and without the right tools, you just add in extra stuff, everything that you learn. And no, renovation does not work that way. You first need construction and deconstruction tools to get rid of the old, prepare the foundation, and then start to build the new. It is a process we learn. And at first, we are met with the pain of not knowing how to approach this construction and deconstruction parts. And at first, it's going to feel uncomfortable because you don't know how. But in all honesty, we never truly know how when we begin something new. So pain, it's not a significator of failure. It is only your teacher. And when you stop fighting it, or when you stop trying to numb it, to avoid it, or to shame it, finally start to begin to learn how to work with it and how you can grow and how you can rebuild yourself. And from that space, you begin to find peace. And from a place of peace, you finally open up yourself to see love. And now listen, I'm not saying every day feels like a Hallmark movie over here. Some days I may feel like a cosmic goddess, and other days I slip into quickies of self pity, asking the stars why I'm cursed. I also experienced this whole spectrum. But because of this path through yoga, soul work, and asana and astrology, I know how to come back home. I know how to come back home to myself, to that inner spark, to the joy that was always there, but somehow buried under ages of emotional junk. To be open with you, when I found my peace, my health improved, my hair grew stronger, and so did my sense of humor. But hey, this may be subjective to personal opinion, so I won't be asking for those. So if you have been waiting for someone to save you, I have news for you. That someone, it's you. You're the guru you've been waiting for all along. And I'm here to walk that path with you, to share the tools that help me simplify my life and find peace and build a life rooted in truth and not trends. Because remember, hope isn't out there, it's already written, already mapped out. You just need to learn how to read it and how to follow it. Because no matter what anyone says, it's always the right time to find the hope within. Rise and shine.